Namaskar. Welcome to Samvaad at Arunimankuran. Today we are having a conversation with Dr. Shweta Jain about the role of management education in enhancing employability. A very warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Shweta Jain is Director and Program Head at ICFAI Business School, Jaipur. A word about Aruni Mankuran. This is an initiative for positive social change through self-development. The goal is greater well-being and happiness for all. At Aruni Mankuran, we believe that each person is unique and special in some way, that each person can make a difference, that each person can create an impact, and that's what inspires us to keep going. Dr. Shweta Jain is the Director and Program Head of IBS Jaipur with over 23 years of experience in education and training, an alumna of IIM Calcutta and XLRI Jamshedpur. She holds a PhD in management and is an internationally certified trainer. Her expertise includes employee training and development, HR analytics, and labor economics. And something that has not been mentioned here, she is extremely good with students, an excellent mentor. Dr. Jain has published extensively in national and international journals, including the Case Center in the UK.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction, ma'am.
It's well earned, Shweta. So let's begin with the first question, which is talk to us a little about your own journey, the milestones of your journey, and some of the success mantras that you learned on the way.
Uh, I would go back to my early days. Born and raised in Bikaner, that's a very small town in Rajasthan and better known for the sweets and savories. So, in the years while I was growing up, something that had a very profound impact on me was my education at convent. So, discipline was something that I internalized this in my personality through my education at Sophia Convent in Bikaner. As I was growing, I realized that there were a lot of discussions around limited opportunities being in a small town. And I always had that feeling that within the space that you are, how do you excel? So I never had that attitude of lamenting about what do I have to my, maybe in terms of enablers or support system. I was always like, whatever you have, you need to make the best in it. So fortunately, the years of upbringing, I would say that we were kind of privileged, well provided, good education, very good mentors, good environment in the institution that we studied at. And then being in a small town, you had a scope that your aspirations may be big, but at least the competition was not that tough that you find yourself that I don't have a space or I've not been able to make a name. So that was the positive side of it, that your accomplishments, though modest, but they were celebrated because the competition was limited. And it gave a very positive mindset that there's always a space, there's always a scope for everybody. As you said, that each one is special. So small setup at least gives you that confidence that yes, I have something to my identity. Eventually moved to Jaipur, and I always say Jaipur has been my karma bhumi. The last 20 plus years, I got bigger opportunities, larger exposure, but something that stayed with me all these years was I would say that good results, keep trying, bad results, keep trying, no results, keep trying. So that inherent spirit of consistently striving for good work, it kept me going, and life had been very, very gracious. I started my, I would say it's 24th year in employment, but around 20 years I've spent with ICFAI. So I personally believe that stability is something I understand that maybe we've seen generational shift. We've seen a lot of socio-cultural shift. People may say that, being at one organization for that longer period, maybe it doesn't pay off but I have observed that if you continuously contribute to a place where you are and you strive to see that it grows and along with it, you grow. So I've grown with the institution here. And I've seen that constantly this commitment, this stability, it did not just pay in terms of my growth from an academic coordinator to a program head to a dean to a director. It contributed more in how I evolved as an individual. My value system, my approach towards, I would not just say problems, but towards opportunities, the way I developed the tenacity, the resilience, the ability to kind of envision the opportunities and challenges that the environment or the macro environment holds for us. That all developed because I've continuously grown. So we've seen a lot of ups and downs, but something that was consistent across these years was um one that a strong belief that cultures can be copied, practices can be copied, cultures can never be copied. So the same practice may not deliver the same result in a different culture. So I grew with this idea that within this system, we need to establish a culture of excellence. And within this culture, the driving mantra would be mediocrity is a sin. So consistently across the years, I just strive to see that how I contribute to building a very, very robust culture, a very progressive culture, a very inclusive culture. And that is how I see that we've grown because we've been able to establish that kind of culture. So my growth is a byproduct of the growth of the institution that I would, perhaps summarize it as.
I think that's very wonderful to hear coming from a leader in education, who has been uh, associated with one institution for, like you said, more than almost 2 decades now. So, when you look at the transition that has happened over the years, how do you think management institutions or management education can continue to grow and remain relevant in the years to come?
I would put it in just one phrase, ma'am: stakeholder integration.
Hmm.
The more the institutions consciously make an effort to, one, understand who are the key stakeholders
Mhm.
and identify the stakeholder expectations and then prioritize it. So, as a teacher, when you enter into the domain of education, you come with a very noble intent that I'm entering into a very, very noble profession, and the prime beneficiary of everything that I do, what I say, what I think, and how I behave, how I contribute, it is all the students. But over a period of time, I realized that it is a huge ecosystem and there are multiple stakeholders, and each one of them is relevant. So, be it students and parents, be it the community at the large, be it the industry or the recruiters, be it the management in its own capacity, and certainly something which I really respect a lot is the regulatory frameworks. Not because they're putting us under some sort of defined framework that this is how you'll be ranked, this is how your accreditation happens. I see they set the quality roadmap. The
Yes,
parameters on which they evaluate institutions, they actually give you the roadmap to see that on what dimensions we need to work. Where do we need to see that we continuously strive to excel? So the idea is keeping all the stakeholders as important, I would say, partners in the survival and the thriving of an institution. So I've seen that if institutions look at all the stakeholders, certainly, if it is a management education or a B school, it has to be the recruiters and the industry. So eventually, you are creating the talent pool for the industry. So industry, regulatory bodies, the management of institution, the students and the guardians, and also the larger community. So stakeholder integration, being very consciously alive, agile, awake, aware, and alert about how stakeholder expectations are changing. That calls for a very close dialogue with all the stakeholders. We need to reach out to the industry, to the community, to the regulatory bodies to see that where they want us to contribute, where they want us to make things better, where do they find the gaps, where is the scope for improvement. So I think all institutions, not just B schools or management institutions, we need to look into this idea that we take a lot of input and a lot of wisdom from the stakeholders. And our approach should be that how do we balance the outcomes to see that we meet the needs of all the stakeholders effectively.
yes, that's precious. When we talk about classrooms, the transition from the classroom to the corporate, campus to corporate, ICFAI has always had a very unique model. Talk to us a
True.
little bit about that.
One, we've always been advised that our purpose is academic, but our culture is corporate. Because eventually our outcomes are going to, in a way, make a major difference to the corporate, the industry. So we get to understand that when we deal with students in classes, one, we need to understand they are adults. So our teaching approaches, the methodologies, it should be very, very learner centric. So when I look at adult learners, there are very clearly defined adult learning principles. You need to see that it matches with their needs, it matches with what they find relevant. So a lot of experiential learning, a lot of action learning has to be there in your entire mechanism, which ICFAI very, very earnestly practices. Um, Moreover, if we look at the entire idea, we are driven with the principle that we are essentially preparing our students for three different kind of worlds. They coexist. Everything overlaps. One is the rational world that is about the tasks, the functions, the duties, the domain. So you need to equip them with the right set of domain knowledge, the skills, how to work with different tools, the digital tools, the applications, and keeping them like updated with whatever is happening latest in the domain. So one is the rational world. We are preparing them to conduct, or maybe preparing them to deliver in terms of the technical expertise or the domain. The second is, I would say, the emotional world. You're dealing with people, you're dealing with groups, you're dealing with emotions. So you need to work a lot on the social and emotional quotient of students. So definitely working on their cognitive abilities or their market intelligence is one part of it. That is rational, as I said. The emotional world would be making them, I would say, competent enough to understand that they are working with people. So how do they develop the right kind of interpersonal abilities to excel? And third, I believe, is something which is less talked about, that is the political world. At organizations, power, the power dynamics, the change management. So I believe most of the organizational politics is an outcome of not handling changes effectively, or maybe the threats change carry with them. So people perceive changes to be a threat to their existing maybe control or relevance in the organization. So we also need to prepare students to survive this organizational politics when it comes to power dynamics and change management. So our curriculum, our teaching approaches, you have always known that ICFA is like champions in case study. So the idea is to put them into those real world situations, make them think and act like managers, and allow them be in that case discussion environment where they develop the ability to survive in all three types of world. Because cases would prepare you to accept perspectives from others, relook or revisit or critically analyze your own contentions in the light of what others come with as a counter argument or something. I would say cases are kind of those discussions, deliberations, contemplations. They prepare you, one, to analyze, to present your perspectives, and more than that, to accept and understand and process the perspectives coming from people around you. That prepares them for all three kinds of worlds as I look at it.
What are some of the challenges that you look at in terms of the generational shift, maybe, and how do you deal with those?
I uh, earnestly hope that I don't sound, maybe it doesn't come as an unpleasant submission. I believe that there is a, if I put it in precise terms, as humans, as citizens, we must kind of conduct every day, I mean everything that we do at work or in social settings, with the sense of entrustment. Each one of us is entrusted with certain responsibilities in our personal settings, in our social settings, in our work settings. When I look at the generational shift, something that really disturbs is the sense of entrustment has been replaced by the sense of entitlement. I find I would not put it as a very generic concept, but a larger section of the young generation, they talk on the ideas of entitlement. What do they expect? What are their aspirations? What are their expectations from workplaces, from organizations, from society, from community, from parents, from institutions? They are very clear about their expectations, or I would put it in the other language, their rights. Even when students look at institutions, they want value not only for the money that they've invested. They believe that we've invested a conscious certain number of years of our precious years of our life, or
Yes,
maybe a
yes,
choice of choosing this institution. So we wish to have a value, uh, value for the choice, value for the years, value for the money, but at the same time, that sense that there is an entrustment as a student, as a youth. There is a lot that you are entrusted with. You need to take the responsibility of a lot of things in social context, or in terms of ethical conduct, or in terms of working constantly, continuously, consistently to see how you improve and you make yourself a better maybe professional or a better individual. So what
Yes.
really makes me feel very concerned is the sense of entitlement prevailing over the sense of entrustment, which certainly is not a good sign for any society, community, country, or maybe the globe as a whole.
Yes. I think I get what you're saying, Shweta. The question is, how do we go from there? Because we cannot go back to the past. We have to look at the future and move forward. So, what are some of the initiatives, let's say, that you think educational institutions can take to deal with this challenge?
First thing is one, establishing a culture, the culture where students understand that they are accountable, they are answerable to a larger set of, I would say, uh, again, I would use the word stakeholders. They have a responsibility towards society, they have a responsibility towards industry. But something that really would come as a clear solution here is mentoring. We need to take this entire, the concept of mentoring, I believe, is over discussed, overhyped, but not adequately capitalized on. So, this entire idea of having a right set of mentors for the generation, we need to have a very conscious understanding of how mentorship actually goes. One, understanding that not every individual is meant to be a mentor to every individual. There has to be a very clear mapping. You said every individual is different. So every student is different. Every youngster is different. You need to see that how you create that kind of compatibility or that understanding, and then you make it a very, very personalized concept. Mentoring has to be a very customized arrangement. This entire contrivance has to be very customized. So, one, we need to be very honest in accepting that not every individual is good to be a mentor to every and any individual. Second, not every problem has a solution through mentoring, but yes, every problem would find at least the confidence that we are serious about finding a solution through mentoring. I'll give you an example. Like many a times, a few students would be attached with me as, my mentees. So over a period of time, when you realize that there is a difference that you are able to make, certain students you are definitely able to influence, but then at the same time, you realize still some of them are not able to open up. And it is not between you and the individual. There are a lot of undercurrents in this entire
Absolutely.
dynamics. So
Yes.
if I find that the student would perhaps blossom if I put him or her under the mentorship of some other colleague. So we should be open to see that very organically this entire thing evolves. If it requires corrections, if it requires some sort of revisiting our own decisions, we should be open to do it. So in educational institutions, I'd often say that, okay, in the semester one, when they enter in the program, we attach them with mentors. Why don't we do a review at the end of the semester? What is the outcome? Is it something that we believe could have been done in a better way? Do you think somebody else would be able, as a mentor, I would at least be able to honestly accept that I've been able to make a difference to the student, and here perhaps I could not make it to the extent that was expected. So let us experiment and see if we can make any change to this arrangement. So hand holding, mentorship certainly would be one thing where we see that we can address these issues. Second, yes, creating a conducive culture where we look at different dimensions as I discussed. Third, I would perhaps believe that more of experiential learning. When you do it, you understand the challenges, you appreciate others who have been in those roles. So that sense of appreciation would only happen if you experience it. So experiential learning, not just in classrooms, but in everything, the co-scholastic activities, the extracurriculars, the students' clubs, the cells, the societies, put them to so much of experiential learning that they would learn to appreciate and they would develop gratitude. And they would also, I mean, in that process, the essential competencies, the skills that happens. Maybe these are the possible solutions.
So you've been a leader in education for so many years now. From your point of view, what does leadership really mean, and how can we help the youngsters to evolve and develop as leaders?
One certainly is setting the right examples. So I always say that what you think, what you speak, and how you act,
Hmm.
there has to be a lot of alignment. That is where you set the right examples. So instilling that, I would say, that value system that you set the right examples, and every time being conscious that knowingly, unknowingly, intentionally, unintentionally, every day you're influencing people around you.
Yes.
And you need to see that your influence has to be a good one.
Hmm.
So it has to be in the way you work,
Hmm.
it has to be in the way you approach problems, it has to be in the way you approach people. Like I often say, at ICFAI, I mean, it's known to be an institution that attracts students from all corners of the country. It's always been a very, very pan India or maybe a very reputed education. So I always see that I have students coming from 22, 23 different states. And I always keep telling my colleagues that, see, diversity is a fact that has happened to us by grace or by providence. Inclusion is a conscious behavior that we need to practice. So I certainly believe that when you practice inclusion, when you practice excellence, people can see that is visible. So the best thing that a leader can do is setting the right examples, ensuring that you're consciously monitoring your own behaviors, your own statements, your own actions, so that you don't send across a wrong message. And in that course of, all the challenges that you come across every day, you may go wrong. It's not essential that everything would go in the right direction, but own the responsibility. And I don't hesitate, going among the students and saying, see, I've goofed up. Or I feel maybe this could have been done better. When you accept the mistakes, that also sets the right mindset. They'll accept you even more, I would say, happily. They would respect you more. So, one, the leader should set the right example. Second, the leader should never hesitate in taking the onus or accountability, even if something has gone wrong. And one thing that I believe is to the core of leadership is, if it is an accomplishment, it is a team. If for any reason it is a failure, you take the accountability as an individual. If
Hmm.
you've been able to earn the right kind of trust and confidence, the team would automatically come with you to share the accountability for failures also. So you always share the credit.
Hmm.
When it comes to sharing the accountability for failures, be the first one to hold yourself accountable. In that process, if you're genuine, others would automatically come with you.
Yes, that's brilliant, Shweta. Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you brought in the value system, when we really need to talk about it in the current scenario, particularly. Uh, Talk to me about how we align values to the education that we are imparting in institutions.
One, if we look at the curriculum of management education,
Mm,
organizational behavior is a very strong domain, I believe.
mm,
I always keep telling the scholars, don't treat OB as one of those courses in your MBA program. Treat OB as a life science. It will prepare you for know the larger world of work and even in your personal settings. So certainly the curriculum, when we look at it, there are so many courses where we can actually align and the ethical dimensions of all the domains, be it marketing, be it sales, or be it finance, that needs to be integrated with the curriculum. So one is, it has to be a part and parcel of the curriculum. Second, I would say that when it comes to aligning values, fortunately, the NEP, it allows you the flexibility to bring in a lot of courses that are clearly focused on the outcomes that make people better individuals, developing their critical faculties, uh, enhancing the moral quotient, aligning them with the ethical compass. So I believe if we can adopt NEP in the best possible way and see that all those value added courses or all those courses that are driven towards developing the social skills or maybe the value system, we design the curriculum in a very, very conscious manner, and we see that we bring it into our teaching through more of experiential learning, and it will happen in that process. I think NEP is a very robust mechanism, and certainly the curriculum of B schools allows you a lot of scope to experiment and see that you include the ethical considerations in all the domains.
Yes. Talk to us a little about your vision. Or how do you envision the future?
I know that there is a lot of technology that is happening.
Hmm.
It is all pervasive.
Hmm.
What I look at is creating an ecosystem where definitely technology serves as an enabler, but again, we cannot, I would say, overlook or maybe afford to ignore the perils it comes with.
Hmm.
One, killing the individual creativity,
Hmm.
that innovation that only human mind can bring. So I really look at creating an ecosystem where definitely we enable students on all the technology related aspects, but at the same time, we keep ensuring that their individual creativity
Hmm.
does not take a backseat. So it should not be a dependence on technology. It should be enablement through technology. So one thing that I'm looking at, because I believe something that is going to make a major difference, that is making a major difference, is nothing more than technology that can disturb this entire thing. And yes, learning to capitalize on how technology is changing the face of business and the global economy, but at the same time ensuring that the human aspect, the human creativity, the human excellence, the human intelligence continues to be the key driver, and how we blend both of these things to see that technology doesn't become something that pushes us towards a chaotic end, but something that pushes us towards a better world, better economies, a more, I would say, a world rich in terms of wealth and resources coming to all sections of the society.
Hmm.
I would personally say that integrating technology with the human intelligence and the human compassion is perhaps what we need to see, what we need to prepare ourselves for looking at the future.
And we also discussed the growth mindset, Shweta. Sometime back you talked about that, right? I think it would be interesting for us to know what was that one, challenge that Shweta experienced, and how did she grow from that? Talk to us about something from your own life.
I would say, I would put it in a larger context, like one, if there is a pattern in your disturbance, there is a problem in your maturity. So you come across challenges, there would be difficulties, there would be situations where the outcomes did not meet the expectations. Have you taken a lesson from all these experiences? And if we keep repeating the same mistakes, that is a problem. So, something that really contributes to a growth mindset, maybe as an individual or as an institution, is you can't afford to have patterns in your disturbances. If it has happened once or twice, you need to take conscious lessons, and you need to ensure that it doesn't get repeated. Second, I personally believe that most of the times we invest our entire energy on the problems that are very routine in nature. Maybe you'll agree with me. You've been contributing to so many organizations to see that they grow, they develop. 90% of our problems are routine problems. And we believe that all our problems need our extraordinary leadership, intelligence, and creativity. That needs to be preserved for the 10% unique problems that will keep coming to us. Oh, my guru says that existential mathematics would always be 90s to 10. 90% things are okay in our surroundings, 10% are the challenges that we need to meet. If you're able to meet those 10% challenges, again, it would not be 100% things being okay. Again, it would be 90% things that are okay, and 10% would be a
Yes,
problem.
yes.
So the idea is you don't need to invest your extraordinary creativity or your leadership abilities in handling those 90% things. As a leader, you should be able to create a system, a contrivance, a process that these 90% things can be taken care of because we've designed systems around it. The 10% unique challenges that would keep coming every day with the socio-cultural shifts, with the geopolitical shifts, with the technological shifts, you need to preserve your intelligence, your energy, your abilities to address those challenges. Where we falter is putting the entire energy in dealing with the routine problems and not taking lessons from our regular learnings that, okay, this cannot be repeated again. So, second would be this. Third, I would perhaps say that if there's anything which you feel that you don't know, or it is not an area where you say that, okay, I have an inherent ability to, maybe contribute, just say yes to that. If you come across
Totally,
something
totally.
which is not in your domain, but it comes to you,
Hmm.
take it as an opportunity. If you don't say no to anything, I mean, the new things, you'll grow. Every time when you step into a territory which is unexplored, unventured, I say tread cautiously, but nothing prepares you for future more than entering into the domains which do not come as a familiar domain to you or
Yes,
something which is
absolutely.
your comfort.
Totally.
So
Yes.
step out and take it. You may have those painful moments, but once you come out of it, it is euphoria.
Totally. Before we conclude this Samvaad with you, Shweta, what would you like to say to some of the educators who are shaping the future?
I am again making a very audacious statement, ma'am. I often feel that organizational politics is an outcome of insecure leadership. So I always, when I discuss it in different forums, I say that we are not academic administrators. We are also, I would say, academic leaders. And as a leader, we should be open to accept, invite, and attract excellence, people who are even better than us. So never hesitate in onboarding or inviting or welcoming people who you feel are better than you. The more you surround yourself with excellent people or excellent resources, you might at times feel, your confidence is shaking, but I always say that elite should attract elite. When I say elite, it is in terms of intellect, it is in terms of knowledge, it is in terms of intentions. So, as educational leaders, always strive to see that you bring best of people, attract intelligence, attract competencies, and don't feel insecure. In the process of, uh, creating opportunities for new
Yes,
resources or capable resources or competent resources, we don't even realize how we evolve every day.
absolutely.
The more we surround ourselves with young talent and young capabilities, in the process, we'll also evolve.
That's very empowering, actually. And what you shared, I'm sure it's going to inspire a lot of people.
Just
Thank
some humble learnings from what life has taught over the years.
So thank you so much for being on Ek Samvad at Arunima and Dr. Shweta
Thank you
Jain.
so much, ma'am. It's an
Was a
absolute delight every time meeting you, interacting with you. And I just hope that I've been able to uh, maybe add some value to this discussion.
Oh yes, definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank
Shweta.
you. Thank you.